This is Talk of the Town, a weekly program featuring community events happening in and around Northeast Michigan, with your host, Nancy Smitham, and get the latest from Alpena Community College with Dr. Don McMaster. And now, today's Talk of the Town.
I want to thank you for spending time with us this afternoon. I know that although so many things have changed with us being under COVID-19 restrictions and things of that, but there's still a lot going on with the Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary. There's a lot of virtual learning opportunities that we all can take advantage of. So let's just jump right in. Let's tell us about some of the things that we can take advantage of, even online.
Absolutely. I would love to share. And thank you for having me on Talk of the Town. It's one of my favorite WBKB programs. So we've definitely had to shift gears, and it's really given us an opportunity to hone and to really, focus on some of these programs. And what's cool about that is these programs will live on. So when we've opened back up and people can get out on the glass bottom boat and people can explore the exhibits, the Great Lakes Maritime Heritage Center, these virtual learning opportunities will still be available and still be something that folks can do. So one of my favorites are our recent webinar series. And this has been something that the Sanctuary program has done across the entire system. So, we have 14 national marine sanctuaries all around the country.
Right.
And this is a great way to dive into learning about, American Samoa. In fact, there's one today about American Samoa, the only national marine sanctuary south of the equator.
So that is really interesting. And I love how you say that these online learning opportunities, this not a one and done. You can go back and watch them over and over, and then they just have shelf life.
That's exactly right. And so, like I was saying, the webinars, there's a number of them that are focused on research happening here in Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary, whether it's looking for shipwrecks, mapping the lake bottom. We also have some cool programs about the sinkholes out there. So not just about shipwrecks. And so these webinars, those are something you can find on, I think the best spot to go is to thunderbay.noaa.gov. Also, our Facebook page, we're going to start a program or a campaign, if you will, called Webinar Wednesday, where we'll be sharing on our Facebook page, Thunder Bay Shipwreck, all the different webinars you can participate in. And what's cool is they're short. They're not like you have to commit to a few hours or anything. They're short, 20 to 30 minutes, hop on. Another cool thing about it is a lot of the live webinars, you can ask questions directly of the speaker, the scientist that's sharing their work. So it's an interactive experience for the students and for anybody. You don't have to be a student.
That is so fascinating. I will just say that, I'm fascinated by the shipwrecks. So it's an incredible learning opportunity.
Well, they really are. And what's cool about these shipwrecks is there's so many of them, right? We've got 99 that we've identified. So if you look at it that way, that means there's 99 stories out there. There's 99 rich historical studies. So all sorts of material out there to learn from. Another one of our partners who has put out some amazing educational resources is the Michigan Sea Grant. They have an outstanding program called Great Lakes Literacy 101, and you can just Google Michigan Sea Grant and throw in Great Lakes Literacy, and there's all sorts of short videos and programs and even activities, interactive activities that parents and families can download and do at home. Exercises in really understanding the Great Lakes. They take a look at different species of plants and animals that live in the Great Lakes. They take a look at the watersheds and how they're connected throughout the Great Lakes. Of course, they talk about fisheries. And then, of course, history, one of our favorite topics for sure. So Michigan Sea Grant has some great resources out there. And then even looking at this in a more broad sense, the National Marine Sanctuary System is a part of NOAA.
Right.
So NOAA is a huge government organization that does, there's a science that happens in our world. And anything you want to know about science, I was just refreshing my memories of the different education programs that are out there. There's earth science, there's space, there's all these archived webinars where you can watch and listen and learn. What's cool also is the visualizations that NOAA has put out. And also another cool thing, you can follow along with expeditions, sort of couch it like that for your students at home. Let's go on an expedition to the Arctic today. So lots of great programs. And then finally, I'll say you can bring it back to the Great Lakes with some films all about Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary that you can watch online. One of my favorites, of course, is Project Ship Hunt. A great program where 5 high school students from Saginaw came up here to look for a shipwreck, and this documentary goes through, their research, goes through them going out on the boat, and you learn if they found a shipwreck. So Project Ship Hunt is a film that's available to watch online too.
Absolutely. And I know that there's a huge body of research that we can partake of. Did it take you a lot to get the information online that people can access in bite-sized pieces? Was that a lot of heavy lifting, or did you already have a lot of this information, packaged in that way?
That's a great question. It was definitely shifting gears. I think a lot of the mechanisms were in place to do it. We have a great website. We have an amazing IT team across the system that helps us do this. But we've had to, delivering a lecture in our theater is a different program than doing a webinar. So there's definitely been some work, and I'd like to think that it's been an opportunity for us to just fine-tune another outreach avenue. So now, like I said in the beginning, as we move forward, this is just another outreach avenue for the future, even when the restrictions are lifted. It's definitely been some work. And it's also another thing I'll mention, so folks can look forward to future programs, in months and years to come. It's given our historical and archaeological team a little bit of, we are busy. We're all working from home, which is wonderful, but we've had some time to do a little more in-depth historical research. Like I mentioned, we've got so many shipwrecks out there, and there's so many resources. And with technology today, a lot of these archives are now coming online. So it's super fun for the team of archaeologists here at the sanctuary to start, or to dive back into researching the shipwrecks, see if there's some new resources, and really add to that collection so we can then share that in the future.
Absolutely. I think what this does, obviously we've all had to shift gears, but I think certainly for your industry is that I believe it exposes the appetite for this type of information. Because we're at home, but I think it really does expose the appetite for some more learnings in some different areas. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I hadn't thought of that, and I like that you said that. It does. It's like, it really does demonstrate that people want to learn. I'm so impressed at the numbers. Hundreds of people have signed up for some of our webinars, and it's, that's neat to see that people are interested in learning, and that we can answer that need.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and I guess selfishly, I'll admit would have been my second career choice as archaeology. So I just find it fascinating. Yeah, I find all of this stuff really fascinating. So yeah. Anything else?
We got to get you out on a shipwreck then.
I imagine so. Yeah. Anything else you want to add for us, Stephanie? Is there a website that we can go to? Is there a new webinar that you have coming up in the next week or something? Is there anything else you'd like to add today?
I would say definitely stay tuned to 2 places, thunderbay.noaa.gov, where we'll post our latest webinars. We will have working on fine-tuning the dates for a couple of really cool ones coming up in June.
Okay.
So stay tuned. But I think probably our Facebook page, which is Thunder Bay Shipwrecks, is the best place because that's going to have the most recent and the latest resources, because we'll be sharing, we do some webinars, but there's hundreds of other options through other sanctuary sites and through other NOAA offices and through our partners with the state of Michigan and Michigan Sea Grant. So we try hard to keep that Facebook page pretty interactive. And you can always ask. That's the cool thing about Facebook. Send us a message on Facebook and say, hey, when's the next program? Or, hey, I'd like to see a program about this. So we'd love to hear from everybody.
Absolutely. Well, Stephanie, we want to thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Peggy, I want to thank you for joining me to talk about the Brown Trout Festival. And I understand that there are going to be some significant changes for this year. Tell me about that.
Yes, due to the COVID going on, we had to re-look and review about the Brown Trout Festival, because number one, it's a place where everybody gathers, and there's no way now with the governor's orders, it pretty much shut down the big tent. We didn't even take a group vote, basically. That tent will not take place this year at all. That's where all the events take place. The music, the Children's Day, where there's 500 children, and there would be just no way to manpower that to make sure everybody was safely X amount of feet apart. Everybody had masks. There's no way. So that big tent with all the events is not taking place. Tentatively, we are talking about hosting the fishing tournaments that we do annually. And like we said, we're waiting to see what other restrictions will be lifted by the end of the month. Hopefully a little bit more that eases up the fishing, because right now, you know that you can fish. You can have people in your boat, mostly family members. So we're just waiting to see if some other stuff gets, other restrictions get lifted, whereas to hold all the tournaments. Because, for example, the Ladies Classic, you can have, 2 on a boat, depending how big the boat is. Sometimes you can have 4 on a boat. But basically waiting for the restrictions to see if they get lifted. So that's what we're waiting on that part.
Okay. And so I know, as you say, it will be difficult to have the amount of manpower that's required to monitor the safe distancing, because you pretty much operate on volunteer labor. Is that correct?
Yes, we have 9 service clubs that normally put in all the manpower hours. They put up to 220 hours per club. And then at the end of the festival, each club is distributed a check based on the net profit. And that goes back to their club. So some of the clubs have opted not to work even the fishing festivals this year. So 4 out of 5 clubs said they didn't feel comfortable. And most of those clubs have elderly members in their clubs. So we understand, we get it. There's no pressure. We don't even know, until June 1st, what could actually take place. Once we find out June 1st, we're all going to meet again and say, hey, we can hold the tournament. This is what we're going to need for hours. And this is how we're going to have to keep everybody safe. Because when they come to register at the trailer, usually, there can be up to a couple hundred standing there waiting. But, one of the plans we started working on already, you can register online. And so that'll ease up some of the stuff. But that's just a baby step. Let's see what happens, what restrictions get lifted at the end of the month.
Absolutely. And so I know that this is so disappointing, because the festival has been going on for this would have been your 46th year?
46 years, yep, 46 years. And it's really disappointing to a lot of the public because they look forward to this. This is where a place where family and friends would gather. There were going to be class reunions where they were going to come on down to the festival this year and all meet up there into the tent. A lot of entertainment. I mean, that means exactly 9 bands that take place in the small tent. That won't be happening this year.
Mm-hmm.
Food vendors, maybe, depending on the restrictions. Once again, you could still have the food vendors there. As far as the public coming down, there's not going to be much taking place. Everybody's usually on their boat by 6 a.m. Weigh-ins, they come in sporadically. But, I know there's people that are going to want to come down there, having to have their masks on. And we're just going to have to come up with a safety plan, in which we need to do anyway for the city, because the city lets us use that property,
Mm-hmm.
the harbor there. So we have to get a safety program on how we would do this anyway if it does take place to present to them. Safety first.
Mm-hmm. So after June 1st, you were saying that that's when you'll be making some of the determinations, I guess, on what the specific tournaments that you will be holding. Is that what you will specifically be deciding
Right.
after June 1st?
Right, because we have the PNC Bank Kitty Classic Tournament,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where the kids fish off the fishing bank. So that could still be held. It's on the fishing bank. It's not, where a bunch of people are gathering. And then we have a walleye tournament annually, and most of those could take place. But once we find out what other restrictions will be on the water and stuff, it could take place, and I think we could do it safely with the help that we have, or will have, and some of the volunteers. There won't be. We don't even know if we can have a small tent there for anybody to stand under as they're registering anymore, because as of right now, you can't. The businesses can't rent out the tents, from what I understand. Only the hospitals, I think, and it might be another medical facility, but they can't rent to us at this point now. So until restrictions get lifted, we're not going to know.
Mm-hmm. And so we're waiting for that magic date, June 1st. So, just tell me a little bit more about the history then. Obviously, it is as I understand it, the longest running fishing tournament in the Great Lakes. So a pretty significant a signature event that is going to be significantly altered this year. What are some of the highlights that you recall from previous years that you can share with us?
One of the big days, like I said, that takes place in that Suez big tent starts off the Family Day, and 500 children come through to do crafts, and PNC provides a bag of school supplies and books to kids that come in. It's their day. We feed them hot dogs and other snacks. And then the Thunder Bay Arts Council always comes in and puts on a program of local talent. So, we're going to miss that. We're going to miss the Veterans Night, one of our nights that take place during the week on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That it's been every year. It's been growing, and Gene Seba from DMC helped sponsor that event, and it's become so awesome. And we're going to miss that. The veterans really look forward to that of all the branches. So, every year, like I said, that has grown, and we give away prizes. And Meyer comes in on that one, and the gifts that he gives away. And they look forward to that, and that's really fun. But that's one of my favorite nights of the Brown Trout Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the Bay Bash 107.7, the Bay Dash True North Radio Network. Daryl puts on that concert, usually the last weekend of Brown Trout, and that brings in that could bring over 1,300 people into that tent. We'll be having that take place. So this year we want to do a car show, the Hillman Car Club and the Alpena Corvette Club for the first time. I've been waiting to do this, but that's all going to be on hold now till hopefully next year.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, we're hoping to obviously get some good news in the coming weeks, and as you look forward to next year, as you say, how much planning has to go into this? It's a major event. How soon do you have to start planning this every year?
Basically, soon as the Brown Festival ends. Usually like the 26th or 27th of the month. It's like, clean up, wrap up, go out and thank all the sponsors, because without them, obviously, it's not going to take place. Get out, thank them, start putting files away, and then it's like enjoy the holiday a little bit. By January, start up again, contact all the sponsors, see what their budgets are, try to get into the budget planning stages with them. And all of them have been awesome for many years. And coming back and helping us out on this. And the volunteers from the public also, because we have like I said, the 9 Service Club that provide help from the fishing tournament to the big tent area. And then we go out to the public, some of the businesses, let us know that they have employees that, will volunteer, represent the company and volunteer. So pretty awesome. There's over 15, I think we figured like over 15,000, 15 to 20,000 that come to that event.
That's awesome.
For the 10 days. Yep.
Awesome. So just a last question or two here, Peggy. So if people want to get involved still this year, volunteer-wise, or even if they want to look forward toward next year, and hopefully things will certainly be different when we can have that Big Ten out as you talked about. Is there a website or a phone number that you can give if people want to volunteer and get involved even this year? Who can they contact?
We can have them, they can email the Brown Trout Festival, and they can leave names and numbers. And then we would contact them back, kind of tell us what their area is, or if they could work in any particular area, or anywhere, from the fishing tournament to the registration trailer. We're looking for people that have any bookkeeping experience, don't have to be a CPA or anything, that help take a ship in the registration trailer. We do a little bit of training there, and then from volunteering to the other events that take place, for the Veterans Night onward. So there's always something to do. There's always something to do. So we'll take anybody that, that has the time and stuff, because it's a lot of hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Peggy, I want to thank you for spending time with us today and giving us an update on where you stand with the Brown Trout Festival. So we'll be looking to circle back with you after June to find out what any of the additional changes will be.
Okay, sure. Yep. Thank you for having me then. Yep. Thank you. We'll keep you posted.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This has been Talk of the Town with your host, Nancy Smitham and Dr. Don McMaster. For a list of community events taking place in Northeast Michigan, please visit our website at wbkb11.com and click on our community link. This has been a Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation production.